Alright, hello and welcome to the first look at a new mod I am slowly working on called Age of Liberty. Sorry, not Age of Liberty, Age of Enlightenment. Helps if I can get my own mod's name right. This is a mod focused on multiplayer first. Basically, I'm taking all the things I learned from my last mod, Empire Extended, and just simplifying things that I needlessly made complicated. And so to that end, unit rosters are much more toned down, much more manageable. Yeah, I tried to prevent myself from going overboard on making 1,000 new units per faction. So here we are. This is the battlefield that I've been working on most recently of Oudenarde, or something like that, Oudenarde. The bloodiest battle of the 18th century. Pretty crazy. This is a battle between France and, or maybe Malplaquet was. I don't remember which was the bloodiest. But anyways, I have also made the map Malplaquet, which is a good map as well, and I'll showcase a battle on that. But for now, we are here with, so we have two armies over in this corner. We have a French guy and an Austrian. And then in this corner, we have two more French armies coming up. Yeah, there's the other. So you can only see the generals for now, but that will change. In the Allied corner over here by the actual fortress, I am taking the helm as Great Britain in the forward position, marching down the road. Look at that nice slow-mo. Beautiful. And this is on large unit sizes, so most units have around 250 troops, a little smaller than Empire Extended, and I think multiplayer would be played on large for the most part. Over here we have another British army. Marching through the town, we have the Swedes. Very cool. Gotta love the Swedes. And then over on this side, being a little confused, are the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Their infantry is not knowing exactly how to get across this river because these bridges only kind of work. You have to manually cycle troops across, which is why I made, where there were pontoon bridges, I've just made a land bridge with some pieces of wood and stuff. So you make do with what you can get away with in this engine, but ooh, it looks like we're getting a glimpse of some French cav, some provincial cav moving across and back. Oh, we've 6-pounder gun setting up. Oh, now they're relimbering. Yeah, so I want to walk you guys through some of the changes as everybody's getting into position. So if we look at the troops here, it says order excellent. If you see that, so it says their name, grenadiers, and then underneath walking hidden. So their status, their movement status, and if they're hidden or not. And then it's their morale, which is eager. And then instead of fatigue, I've replaced it with an order system. So this is inspired by Empire Realism, where I put my own twist on it, however, where as units are ordered, they will fight the best at excellent order. That means their volleys will be more accurate, their melee will be much more effective. After a couple of volleys, that will start deteriorating quickly as smoke would be obscuring your vision and stuff like that. So you'll lose a lot of accuracy, and especially if you get to tired, very tired, or what would have been tired, very tired, and exhausted, that's when you really start feeling the impact of being disordered. To make that more worthwhile, now walking actually reorders your troops. It's slow. It's the best way is just to let them sit still, and they'll reorder. Their order will back trend towards excellent. But walking, they will slowly recover it. And running does just about nothing. But even when you run troops, they don't move. They move just barely faster than their march. And that's because the AI will, of course, run everywhere. So I don't want to, have the AI show up on the battlefield just totally disorganized and disordered, and then you just easily win every fight. So, yeah, that's the new ordered system. It seems to work pretty well. Also, on maps like this, each town will have a occupiable building that's worth a point. You don't actually have to stay in it to get the point. It tells you who occupies it. So you see it says controlled by nobody. If you go in it, it'll say controlled by allies. Like, for some reason, Sweden always runs their horses right into this building and they get stuck. But it says controlled by allies. If you were to leave your troops out, so they go in and then they get back out, that building will still be controlled by you. So you don't have to leave a garrison in there, basically. This is just versus AI because I haven't put this mod out for anybody, but if you guys are interested, that may happen. You can also hear we have a different soundtrack. I got the Empire and Ruins soundtrack mod, which adds kind of a dark, ominous sound to battles and campaign and stuff, so it's quite fun. I enjoy it. Oh, one quick thing about the French troops. They actually march a little bit faster than everybody else, so they can get to places really quick. And they have a good charge bonus, but not a great defensive bonus. I know this is that's more of their model of army later in the French Republic units, before when Napoleon was an artilleryman still. That's kind of their way of going. They would march fast in column and have those flying columns hit into enemy units, but I wanted to play around with seeing how it would work out in a setting like this, so that's what it is for now. Some other important changes. Artillery is much slower. Only light artillery pieces can move decently quick and keep up with infantry, especially if they go off-road. They'll slow down even more. So, you gotta be aware of where you're moving your artillery, because they were not mobile pieces for the most part. Most nations in the early 1700s had heavy artillery, and in the mid to late 1700s they started making them more mobile. France was one of the first nations to standardize caliber sizes and get rid of some of the ornamentation that would decorate artillery, but yeah. Anyways, I may just make a cut here until we get the first bit of action. Alright, well, the battle should be kicking off here in just a second. In fact, it looks like it's about to on the other side of the map, but I wanted to show you guys as my troops are deploying in this field out here. Moving my howitzer. Howitzers are different than how they're described in the game. They're a bit, they're like a great defensive weapon that can shoot over hills that provide cover and then have a really amazing canister. but they're really immobile, slow things to operate. So it's not like you can rush them up and pull them back. It's you set them in place and you hold your ground type of a thing. So that's my main army's deployment. On this half of the map, though, I did send 2 scouts out, along supported with 2 regiments of horse. Scouts, how they work in the game is they have extra long spotting range. It's longer even than cavalry. And they can go into light infantry formation, which is their loose formation, and snipe, but they don't have a ton of ammo. They're really weak to cav or any other unit that bayonet charges them. So you gotta know how to deploy them. They can deploy stakes, but it's 1 row of stakes. So it's not a huge thing. Here we have some Austrian Imperial Cuirassiers. Because it's called Austria at the time, or in the game, but it's really the Habsburgs who are controlling the Holy Roman Empire, or what's left of it. And so these are heavy cavalry with armor that will, they can do some decent damage to a line infantry if they crash in. And they can get decent force. Ooh, looks like my ally's getting some good artillery hits from over there. There it is. But heavy cavalry against my medium cav will just tear through the medium cav, because units will break pretty quickly in this mod, which is another thing I do on purpose. I like units that will break and then reform, and then you can use them again once they've recovered. So these guys are scary because they counter both of the units I have on this flank. Real quick, I want to check what's going on this side. We're starting to spot French musketeers, regiment of French horse guard. These are another scary French heavy unit. We got some allies horses here. We have Finnish light horse, British regiment of horse, provincial cavalry. The provincial cavalry are very interesting because they have pistols, but they're kind of like a glass cannon. They can do a lot of damage with the pistols, but you can hear some of the new musket sounds I've got. Yeah, I think it's nice to have louder, more impactful musket sounds. I haven't done it for the pistols yet, so once they fire, it's not the same. Let's check back over here. And yep, the regiment of horse is down to 68 versus the Austrian Cuirassiers, who are 69 now. So it's pretty close in numbers, but the Austrians are winning. They took losses before from the cannonball, and so they're definitely tearing into the cavalry. But as you can see, already in just that short amount of time, order is terrible in the cav. Cav isn't affected as much by bad order, but it's still less effective by bad order. And sorry about the choppiness. It's mostly due to recording while filming a 4v4 when large unit settings. So we have a cav engagement over there. In the center, some more provincial cav moving towards that general's bodyguard. And these dragoons did a number on this cav, breaking them. Now we got regiment of horse versus horse guard, supported by the general himself. The Finnish light cav is swept away with only killing one heavy cav of the horse guard. That's not a good sign. Heavy infantry presence there, so my troops are forming up to defend. Back on this side, oh boy, there's more cavalry coming. We got French dragoons, horse guard, and more Imperial Cuirassiers. Some French scouts as well. I've taken refuge with some of my scouts in that building, which means we hold the town. And now I have set up some stakes to at least help protect. But we've already lost one cav unit routing down to 41. And this one is actually says winning. That's maybe because they initially had better order than these guys, which can give you an edge, but their winning won't last long. As a volley comes in. Ooh, you can see some blood. Back on this side. Looks like my allies' horsemen have been seen off. Now my guys are trying to get into position before the French can charge home. Their dragoons, their horse guard, only lost 2 so far. That's impressive. Let's see. Wow, even slow motion we're getting lag. That's unfortunate. I guess we'll listen to the nice musket sounds then. I have left firing drills in this game so that line infantry will fire by rank for the most part. Some line infantry doesn't have fire by rank as an option. But yeah, charging head on is just hard to do with cav with line infantry that's prepared. You got to catch them reloading or out of line, something like that. Back on this flank, my other regiment of horse did get seen off as well, but we also broke the Imperial cuirassiers with our scouts firing into them. So we definitely took the worst of it, but we did get some decent kills on a heavy enemy cav unit, and we still hold the town. Here we have some dragoons chasing down some provincial cavalry. Once again, provincial cavalry are pretty... They can get a good pistol volley or 2. I think they have 3 pistol shots. But they have to be pretty much stationary or moving real slow, and they're just not easy to use super effectively. If you can micro it, they are great though. So they're an interesting one to play with. That is for sure. Seeing the Swiss Guard. So the model for some reason in the game for Swiss Guard wasn't working. It wasn't letting me assign that model to them. So I'm going to have to make my own Swiss Guard model, or at least texture them with the red of the Swiss Guard, because it just doesn't look right without it. But that will come in due time through the wheat field. I also figured out how to make grass a little less thick, and I think that will help make these maps run smoother and lighter. Don't know what this British regiment of horse is doing. Very bold, charging towards some musketeers. These are the French Royal Guard infantry, basically. They're quite effective. How cavalry generally works in this game is light cavalry does a lot of impact damage because they move significantly faster, they accelerate faster. So they can get an initial good amount of kills, and if they withdraw quickly, they can keep that very effective. They won't last long in a good melee though, and they're vulnerable to other cav. Medium cav is kind of split. It doesn't go quite as fast as light cav, doesn't accelerate quite as fast or do as much charge damage, but it has more staying power. Kind of your all-rounder. Dragoons are a little bit worse than your traditional medium cav, but they have a few shots from horseback they can make, which can be very effective, particularly against other cavalry units, but also they can fire a volley into a unit and then hit them with the charge, which will break units pretty quickly usually. My hunters are still holding on over there. This definitely right flank is weaker though. My British allies are sending up their troops that way. And then heavy cav is your tank unit. It moves slowly, it takes a long time to get up to charging speed, but once it does, it can barrel through units. It can be very devastating, and if it catches another cavalry unit, it will tear through them, absolutely wrecking them. Here comes the howitzer shot. Yeah, so the howitzer, kind of inaccurate, but it can lob over things, does a good amount of morale damage, making units a little worried about their future prospects. And it's really good with canister, which is very handy. Alright, only got 2 sounds that time. That was strange. I also removed the tracers from the cannonballs as well as bullets, so that it just didn't look weird. That sound there, that was the new cannon sounds that I'm starting to phase in from actual live firing cannons. And that's what I did with the muskets too. Took musket sounds from actual muskets firing bullets for the most part. Some of them weren't firing bullets, but they had the paper wad in there, which was as close as I could get. Got some grenadiers looking mighty fine. And a musket battle going on. So yeah, everybody's at pretty much peak firing. Order is good to excellent. That's good. 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 So they're still firing pretty effectively. But a few more volleys and that will drop down. And so there are some opportunities where if you linger at max range for a few volleys, let them, wear down their order, then you can charge in and get some good a volley in close range or get that nice charge in. So there are some interesting strategies that you can employ. Let's see, Sweden sending some regiment of horse out. Got some scouts. Ooh, French dragoons. They have isolated my hunters over here. Looks like there was a cav assault, but it got beaten back by the stakes. Still got the hunters in there, and Poland, Lithuania still hasn't figured out how to cross these pontoons. Sweden is now mostly across. I gave Sweden some in Delta infantry, which are good all-rounders, and then grenadiers have great charge and melee. Pikemen, same thing. Yeah, Sweden's definitely like a faction that is dangerous. It can't afford to get enough troops to just sit in shootouts usually, but it can get, unless it relies on militia, but it can get some really elite troops that can hit hard and cause maybe a good chain route that their light cav or other cav can mop up. Most square formations as well are this tight square. The British regiment of foot and foot guards can do an actual regular square because they're one of the first nations to really develop a hollow square formation. So yeah, that's why I thought I would give them that. But square is not a universal thing that everyone has. In fact, probably more troops don't have it than do. Here we see some artillery canister shot tearing through these guys. Cannons now have just like 30 pellets when they shoot canister, whereas howitzers have 70. So you can really tell the difference of killing power between a cannon and a howitzer now. Not to say it's not effective, because it still is very effective. Very nice. Loud shots going off. French musketeers pushing in on this village from all sides. The French mobility is a big advantage, especially in multiplayer. I'm not dead set on keeping it, so we'll see what happens, but it is an option. Makes for some interesting gameplay because they are quite quick, but then they don't have a whole lot of staying power. Still not much going on in the center, although I am spotting now. Are these Austrians? Oh no, that's French. Yeah, some French troops, but Austrian bodyguard, general, moving up. French scouts. The Austrians are back here somewhere, but I can only see in like this big of a range, so we'll see what happens. Main battle though is definitely on this flank, as the French are marching forward. These guys have excellent order, so if they get to melee they'll have an advantage, but British lines are definitely more versatile overall, although these elite French troops with excellent order are an extreme hazard. So I'm moving up grenadiers to support in case I need to countercharge. Looks like they're getting actually within decent range. Oh, taking some nasty canister. My ally has set up 6-pounders back here. My 6-pounders are on the left flank. Not sure what this regiment of horse is doing. Oh, that one is just taking killer losses from the canister. Let's see if the French do a volley. It looks like they're shooting at this one's flank. Ooh. And that gets them shaken, and I realize it is time to get out of there. There we go. Well, you can see musket balls going by. Pretty brutal. As the troops fall back from this out of the smoke. And the French begin pressing their advantage. So at this point I'm thinking, well, if I lure them back, here we'll kick it into play, we don't need to delay too much. If I can lure them back to this canister, they think they'll take the town, but we'll counter push after we fall back and establish a new line with these cannons and stuff. They definitely have an artillery advantage. They have some very heavy guns back here, but they aren't able to hit too much at that range. You can see we did take some decent casualties there, but I think we gave as good as we got, or at least close to it. Now they are moving up. Let's check back now as our British allies are pushing in the center and running into... Oh, the general is taking out the horse guard. Very nice. Might shatter that. Oh, we have some French provincial cavalry being aggressive. What are they going for, I wonder? Oh, the winged hussars are on the battlefield. A fearsome unit. Alright, I didn't like that. Let's see where these guys go if they try and shoot. It's a hard thing about the pistols, though. They take a while to really... You have to form up, and then they all have to aim and shoot. And it's not a quick process. Oh, but here they go. And as you can see, I haven't messed with the pistol animation, so looks like they got one kill. Not very effective. Now they will charge, though. Let's see if they can get a charge in before a volley gets off. The grenadiers are still out of formation. Oh, but they hold their charge. That's a mistake. Don't try and shoot them. Just get out of there. My scouts here are getting flanked by the French scouts, and now we got a lot more Austrians coming in. There's some Habsburg, Austrian infantry. They also can have Imperial infantry. That's French. So, oh, they are very slowly and anticlimactically moving into the get a kill. My troops are still falling back, although this one wasn't able to get out of there quick enough, so it's gonna have to hold its ground for a little bit. Although the falling back did give these guys time to recover their order, and that's what it's doing for these guys. Standard, good, excellent. So this one's only standard, so it is getting hit by debuffs, which is unfortunate, but it will have some time to recover. Getting their reloads in. Oh, guys aren't firing with the volley. You gotta volley into them. Let's see what happens here. Alright, here we go. We got some real epic battle music. Nice slow-mo. Yeah. Teaching the French a lesson. Alright, in the center we have some pickets. This is a unit we haven't seen. Similar to late era light infantry, pickets go out kind of in front of the army, but they still are in formation. They can do platoon firing. They have more accuracy, but are weak in melee. Kind of your mix between a scout and a line infantry. And they're small in number. What pickets traditionally were used for is an early warning system and a way to screen flanks and stuff. And that can work really well still. There's been some battles where I'm not sure if the enemy is on my flank, and I leave a couple pickets there guarding by like a stream, so that if something happens, they can meet the enemy and at least slow him down, give my reserves time to get there. We have a nice cavalry battle here, provincial cavalry versus some Lithuanians. With, ooh, the winged hussars coming in. And some epic firefights over here. Yes. The troops are firing back. Let's see, some canister should be going over this way soon. Once it is, we'll make sure we watch, maybe even in slow-mo. Oh, I think they're going to move it. Yeah, let's... Alright, ready for this? Ooh, that looked painful. Alright guys, fire those canister shots. Yes. Oh yeah. Cutting a hole through their formations. Unfortunately, it wasn't that good of a hit because they're all spread out, but you get the idea. That should break those musketeers. Swiss Guard, though, they're not so easy, but they do break. We have some Swedes and Poles working together. Very rare sight in history. Huge British swarm here. A lot of militia, Irish, pickets, guns. Whole mix going on, but now we see lots of infantry coming in. We got more Habsburgs. Looking very nice with those uniforms. Grenadiers, Austrian. Oh, French scouts charging. If it was any other unit than scouts, it might have worked. But now we got some Austrian infantry, and if they just charge in, they'll wipe our scouts out very easily. Here we are sitting pretty. The center of the French line is getting pushed back. Our allies sent in some provincial cavalry and winged hussars and Lithuanians. Wow. All right, that's a good assault force, and it is breaking the French morale. If they can keep the pressure on, that can cause a massive chain rout. As long as these French units don't... I mean, the militia can't form square. Swiss Guard can. Oh, a little leggy. More militia. Yep. Musketeers. I can't remember if I gave them the tight square formation. These guys can. Maison du Roi. Don't make fun of my French. It's bad, I know. Swiss Guard over here. So this wasn't really to hold the town indefinitely. It was more to slow down this flank's attack, because I realized that my ally was very slowly coming to the aid of the center right flank, and I could hold the left. And now we have the winged hussars in the fray. Jaggedly. Oh. Oops, I hit pause. I meant slow-mo. Look at that. Beautiful. Wait, now I am going to hit pause. Ready for this? Yes. Very nice. All right. Enough of this slow-mo, though. The redcoats are advancing again. Ooh, horse guard from Poland, Lithuania. These are some intimidating guys on horseback. Once again, the Poles really went hard on this left flank with their cavalry. Pushing in. The winged hussars are wavering, but they've only lost 7 guys, so they're doing all right, and they are causing chaos, absolute chaos amongst the French, winning decisively now. French do have reserves back here that will be a problem, and they are still pushing quite heavily in the center, and the Austrians have pretty much yet to engage. They are sending lots of troops this way, who are now getting ready to charge. But all these troops will eventually swing over onto the flank. We got the Swedes as our reserve right now. It looks like they are heading that way as the rest of my lines advance into the chaotic mess of the French army. Looks like they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-ish units that are not broken and fleeing over here, as the Poles just rack up kills with these winged hussars. It's a beautiful thing. Now we got some provincial cavalry as well going into the militia. They might be able to do that as long as they can maintain their order and morale. If they get a volley into them, though, they might break. Swiss Guard being pretty epic. And the Austrians just not aggressive this round. Here they're charging my scouts finally. And that will be the end of my scouts, I think. Well, the Austrians aren't confident. They're getting shot from this side too. We'll see if... Oh, and the Austrians break. Look at that. Surprising. I didn't think my guys would hold on that well. The British here are really pushing towards this town right here at this crossroads. This is a good town to hold because it really threatens this hill, which is a great position. Provincial Cav did manage to break the militia, but is now wavering and breaks themselves, so fairly even exchange. Both should come back after some time. The Horse Guard going in against the Swiss. Beautiful. Beautiful. Still, though, having mass morale problems here, as large numbers of French troops are breaking, and that is something to be aware of with this mod. If you're too reckless with your troops, as you start losing larger percentages of your army's morale overall decreases. So once you've, as a combined alliance, lost more than 60-70%, your troops will have their morale lowered considerably overall. They can sense the battle going against them. It's not unplayable, but just difficult. Here my British ally is moving into the center, making actually very good gains. But the combined Austrian-French alliance here is making its move. My hunters are still good on that flank, surprisingly. Let's see what's going on this side. And it looks like with the the Polish horse guard charging in, this flank is completely crumbling now. Grenadiers are trying to hold, and they are a great defensive unit, but I don't know if they'll be able to hold against horse guards. So this is letting my troops move up, and this is where I want to get aggressive, take this town. But hold on, here we have provincial cav coming in for a very nice looking charge. Let's see how I was not paying attention, got caught unawares. Now the horse guards have broken, and those grenadiers held their ground. That's very impressive. My regiment of foot is holding its own all right, just because these are just provincial cav, but that won't last forever. I do have to be wary of them. Thankfully, they decide to withdraw. Otherwise, I might have run into more issues. But now these guys have terrible order and are definitely hurting numbers-wise. British here making a nice aggressive push, but this combined army is just starting to close in. It's looking bad for the Brits. On this flank, they do have some Swedish reinforcements making their way. It's very needed. Definitely this has been the flank of importance, and that's also where I've been playing, so of course it's the most important. Grenadiers are very effective, but they cannot form square, so you do have to be mindful of that as you use them. Cav can take out grenadiers. But my guys are in formation now. They can fire on the cav and break them. But here we go. We're getting some big brawls going on as the Brits make their way through the hedges into the Habsburgs' troops. Lots of Habsburgs, some French Foreign Legion and elite infantry. And now this Foreign Legion shattered my, or at least broke these scouts. So they won't be coming back anytime soon. I still have the one in the building though. I forgot about it actually. And these are my horse guards. These are the British Horse Guard. I have that horse guard unit, and then I have this grenadier guard, which are slightly different in stats and stuff, but nothing too crazy. Looks like the French reinforcement wave is rallied a lot of their last units and is now helping out, trying to push back this attack. But we should have no problem pushing up, and indeed we are across the stream on this flank. Water will significantly slow down troops as they march through it, especially if it's deep water. So just be in mind, charging across a stream is no easy task. My British allies, the Irish here actually, are just going for it. Uh-oh, these pickets are about to get wiped out by the French Royal Division. I should get really rid of the military. That's the full name, but it wasn't commonly referred to as that. But these guys, their history is, there was a period in the French army where they did a series of reforms where they really made their Royal Guard units their own military, because they had like something like 26,000 of them. And they realized, hey, why are we just trying to integrate these guys so closely when we can simply make them their own, basically, military branch? That's what happened. The Swiss Guard here had tried to advance towards my artillery, and I countercharged them with these guys, which broke them, in addition to my Polish allies' horse guard going in. Now my redcoats are trying to get back into formation. Oh, what is this? Is this a militia went for a charge and it's interrupted by heavy cavalry? That could be very good for us. So all these guys will get hung up on the cavalry and just receive a few point-blank bullet or volleys. Oh, some of them, oh, they almost made it. Now they're gonna get shot down. Here we go. They're not shooting the guys right in front of them, which is kind of silly. Now they are. Now they are. French still pushing aggressively, but already wavering. These grenadiers are a danger, but they've weakened. Their order is now terrible to my order bad. So their advantage was taken away by that, having to fight that cavalry. And here my grenadier guards go in and destroy a picket, a French picket. And here's another one here. Oh no, that was actually the Swiss Guard. We shattered them. Wow. That's what we like to see as the Brits. Nice big brawl going on here. Let's get a nice look. Ooh. Get a screenshot of that. Yeah. Nice. Over here, my grenadiers charged and broke the enemy grenadiers. Get countercharged by the French royal troops, but now my infantry, as they form up, will be able to fire into their flank. If my grenadiers can hold on, they were shaken just a second ago. They were attacked on the flank, which is very damaging to units' morale. I do have this flank pretty well covered by my British allies. Oh, but a massive break. Let's kick it into play again. And these guys are getting very heavily engaged. That could be bad because that'll get them right behind our troops. Oh, and these Chad grenadiers don't even need to get their regiment of foot allies or brothers involved. They just break everybody down. Now the British countercharge begins. Regiment of Grenadier Guards are already pushing hard. And this French flank is gone. All that's left are these scattered units that might recovered, but are currently breaking towards what's left of their siege artillery. But there is a crisis here in the center, as we have heavy engagements with some very good troops swamping the Brits. And as the Austrians come in, they're able to exchange some fire with Swedish grenadiers. Pickets have been broken. That town is still held by me, technically, and my scouts are in there because I forgot about them. And looks like the Polish have finally made their way to the bridges and are about to make their way across with more than just cavalry. The Swedish Grenadier Corps are getting ready to countercharge anything that comes their way. Speaking of which, they receive a heavy charge there. French getting stuck in, but these Grenadiers are no pushovers. They are experts in melee. They have a height advantage as well, as Grenadiers are massive, the largest men. Oh, and the British or the Irish troops shatter here, taking absolutely horrendous losses. Now the French Grenadiers and all sorts of infantry are charging in. The Swiss infantry, Swiss guards. And that diverts my attention from this flank as I have to now shift all my troops over to the center. We have successfully broken most of these units though. So just in time, we have broken the enemy on this flank and we are able to get our reserves back over here and support the Swedes as the Swedes support the other British troops. But yeah, the British massacred right here. Very fitting music. And the Irish foot are breaking. They fought valiantly, but they were pushed back just by a lot of numbers. And remember, we're an army short because, other than Cav, because the Lithuanians are just now getting across. So we will, if we can hold on long enough, we will have a completely fresh infantry force ready to support. Got some tasty Grenadiers. These guys are winning impressively. Grenadiers do decent in a firefight, but they lack numbers. They really shine with melee charges. We had a provincial cav issue here I was worried about. I had to form my foot into that hollow square. Britain is one of the few forces that can do that. Most have the dense square, which isn't as good against cavalry. It's still more effective than a line, but let's see. Austrians are now pushing up this hill as well. We have taken this hill and pretty much taken this town. Oh, this is a big force of provincial cav. These guys are cheap, but they have a good charge, and they can be dangerous. Some more provincial cav there as well. Looks like they fired a few pistol shots, but break. Moving my artillery up, hoping to block the road with artillery and fire canister down into them. My grenadiers are supporting, holding the line, holding the river, as the Swedes are actually seeing some success pushing back France, as they've really run out of steam. They used a lot of energy and are really disordered. Yeah, order chaos, just trying to get rid of that knot of British troops. Have some more provincial cav and Foreign Legion moving up. Habsburgs, pickets. Yeah, so still a decent force, but they're definitely, I'd say it's about even with the armies on the field right now, and we still have a whole nother force coming. So this flank was definitely critical. We managed to hold on to it and then shatter this whole army. Very, very good for us. There's still a lot of cav though. If they had used that more effectively, and that's AI. AI isn't that effective in this game. Oh, and this is something I missed completely. The provincial cav charges into my grenadiers. Grenadiers do hold them off, which is good news. But that just disorganized this whole flank. You know, which is a bummer. But we are getting good success now. Austrian infantry falling back. Grenadiers there. Now shaken. Ooh, that was a short range volley and killed a lot of guys. Yeah. So even with terrible order at short range, you can still get decent kills. And we have a mixing of Brits, Swedes on this flank. Ooh, we got a Swedish charge of grenadiers. It's a dangerous thing. Oh, and some foreign troops charging into Austrians who have broken. That's another thing about the mod is when units charge, once they get into charging range, they can run very fast. So that's like the only time that you can move units really quickly is charging them. Makes for a very interesting gameplay because if you leave units unsupported and they get charged, your units can't countercharge until they get within certain range. So it's a good idea to keep units in reserve, keep units safe, don't go out unsupported. So we have stabilized the flank. We are now sending some troops across the stream. Those are my allies' troops here, but these are mine. And moving my artillery more to the center where I feel like it's more needed. As the Swedish Grenadiers are doing alright, but they are losing in a firefight, which is expected. They're just not, they don't have the numbers to do it. You have some pikemen here. Pikemen can tear through units once they're in melee. I did send my scouts, maybe shoot some officers in the back. Let's see what's going on with we have the Poles now, the Polish-Lithuanians ready to roll up this flank. As long as I can hold on to the center with the Swedes. There's a few British units here and there, but for the most part they are wiped out. But we are moving forward. Looks like a lot of these French units are permanently broken, or else they would have recovered by now. They just have artillery there and in the forest there. And they have some calves spaced out back there, which can be dangerous. But so far the balance of power is definitely moving our direction, the British way. These troops are still winning. Oh, getting some shots in the back. Ooh, taking hits. And that will seriously concern some units. Ooh, got some more breaking units in the center. And it looks like we have seen off, for the most part, this French-Austrian force. Once again, the pivotal battle is around this little stream right here, between these two towns. We're finally really fully taking this town, which was quite a struggle. We got up to here and then got pushed back into this town, but then we re-established control and have now very successfully seen off the enemy. I think I will end the battle here. What ends up happening is Austrians fall back, make a last stand here, but with the poles, we do push them back and then eventually take out that artillery. And the French have one last little stand around this stream. But once again, we break them and force them back and take out the artillery, and that ends the match. So it is a successful win. But I wanted to showcase this new map for one, and as well as this mod that I'm working on. If you guys are interested in trying it out, maybe with me. Oh, I think I paused the game in the real game, and it pauses the replay. That's funny. If you guys are interested in checking it out, join the Discord and just send me a message, and I will get it to you, and if I have time, play it with you. But so far, the factions I have completed are Great Britain, Austria, France, Sweden, Poland, Lithuania, and Russia. I'm planning to get all the Vanilla Nations rosters completed and then start adding new nations. And once again, this is a more simplified system for me, so I should be able to make progress with this modding a lot easier. Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed this battle. Check out the mod in the future as it comes out. It's called Age of Enlightenment. Maybe I'll make a ModDB page eventually once I feel like it's ready to come out. But yeah, another thing is these maps I will make public. Maybe I'll do that right away so you guys will get to see them and play on custom battle maps that I've made, and maybe give some feedback as well. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like or whatever you want to do, and I will catch you on the next video. Have a good one. Bye.